So we will be recording this session so that I can share it on YouTube. And we're going to get started. Let's start with the pledge. So if you guys would just unmute and we'll do the pledge quick, that would be great. So I pledge my head to clear thinking, my heart to bear
greater loyalty,
my hands to larger
service,
my health to
my
better
health to better living, for my club,
my community,
my country,
and
my world. Great. Thank you very much. So you will see here, I'd like to welcome you all to the Sheep Leader Project virtual session that we're doing across the province. Just a little bit to tell you who your program staff is. Suzanne Stone is our Chief Program Delivery Officer. I am Tracy Dietrich. I'm one of the program coordinators. And Sydney Walsh joined our team the 1st of September, and she's the other program coordinators. And so we're just going to get started by before I get going, on here tonight, there are some of the SHAC committee members. I seen Laverne is here, Arlene, Shane, and Nikki. Is there anybody else that I didn't see or missed?
I'm on as well, Tracy.
Okay, Jackie too.
Yeah.
Thank you. So before we go, I'll just have them introduce themselves when we talk about the committee and which region they represent. But the first thing we're going to talk about is the project standards. And as a project leader, become familiar with 4-H project standards, which can be found on the 4H.com project standards help guide. 4-H, the help guide 4-H members and leaders as they advance their projects for completion or competition. Projects such as beef, equine, salt, or sheep and salt have 4-H Alberta project standards. If the project you are leading does not have written standards provided by 4-H Alberta, this is an opportunity for you and your members to be creative and adapt as you go. Being as we're all beef or sheep members, we won't really talk about that, but we'll move on to project standards guide the operation of 4-H projects for consistency among clubs across the province. 4-H Alberta Provincial Volunteer Advisory Committees review and guide the updates to the 4-H project standards. 4-H leaders and members must be aware that clubs, districts, and regions may have additional rules or standards above the 4-H Alberta project standards. And for more information, contact your 4-H district or regional council or committees. And you also check your 4-H club's constitution. So we're going to go through the standards. So these standards were reviewed last October. The 4-H Alberta Sheep Project Standards, all 4-H members registered in the Sheep Project must follow the requirements as set out by 4-H Alberta in consultation with the Provincial 4-H Sheep Advisory Committee. 4-H Sheep Project member minimum requirements. Regardless of the level of show, registered 4-H project animals must be shown only by the registered 4-H member in good standing, ages 9 to 20, as of December 31st of the current club year. If a 4-H member is unable to show their sheep or project animal due to medical, family emergency, or other reason that the show committee deems acceptable, another registered 4-H member will be allowed to show the project animal. The project animal will be eligible for all conformation classes. The project animal will be eligible for rate of gain classes, and the project animal and its showman will not be eligible for showmanship, grooming, or other skill classes. Priority for proxy showing will be club members first, followed by district members, and then regional members. Project animals. Market lambs may be purchased or home raised. Replacement of animals can only be done with the permission of the club or Achievement Day Sale Committee or the Regional Sheep Committee. The replacement animal must meet project criteria and must have been registered with the 4-H club as a 4-H alternate animal. 4-H members are expected to provide the major part of feeding, care, and management for their animals for a minimum of 60 days. Check with your 4-H club for clarification, exception, and expectations. In the event a 4-H member has 2 residents, it is not able to complete a major part of feeding, care, and management due to means out of their control, the 4-H club will ensure that the active role is in realistic proportion to the time spent at the specific residence. Any surgical procedure or injection of any foreign substance or drug or the external application of any substance, irritate, contra-retat, or similar substance which could affect the animal's performance or alter its natural contour, conformation, appearance, except external applications of substance to the hooves or horns of the animals will affect appearance only, and except for surgical procedures performed by a duly licensed veterinary for the sole purpose of protecting the health of the animal is prohibited. Achievement Day event. All market lamb projects, regardless of breed, must be slick shorn or trimmed to a maximum of 1/4 inch. All tails must be docked in accordance with the National Farm Animal Care Council Code of Practice for the Care and Handling of Sheep, Husbandry Practices 5.7. The exception for tail docking is for the hair sheep breeds and short-tailed breeds. All wool breeding stock, ewe lamb, yearling ewe, or mature ewe must be shown at the Achievement Day event with a fleece 1 inch or less. All hair breeding projects, ewe, yearling ewe, and mature ewe must be shed or shorn at the show committee's discretion at Achievement Day event. Project identification. Animals must be identified as the 4-H members project by all registered project animals must be identified with a CSIP tag, a bill of sale or a lease agreement in the name of the 4-H member, unless born property of the member. 1 or more of the following as required by the club, district, or regional sheep committee: a 4-H tag, a 4-H tattoo, or electronic identification. Projects available. All projects must be registered with the club by December 1st of the current club year. Market sheep projects. The market sheep animals must be born between December 15th and April 30th of the current 4-H year. The market sheep project animals must be registered with the club at least 60 days prior to the club's Achievement Day. Market sheep live project must be shown at Club Achievement Day in order to be marketed by a public auction. Market lamb. The market sheep project animals must be born between December 15th and April 30th of the current year. Each member is to select and care for only 1 lamb from weigh-in to market age. Market lamb may be either a wether or a ewe. Members may select 1 alternative lamb, which would be used as an alternate at the show committee's discretion. Market lamb must be a minimum of 90 pounds in order to be able to sell at the 4-H public auction. Another project is the pen of 3. The market sheep project animals must be born between December 15th and April 30th of the current 4-H year. Each member is to select and care for 1 set of 3 lambs from weigh-in to market age. Lambs may consist of wethers and ewes. Members may select an alternate lamb, which would be used as an alternate at the show committee's discretion. Each lamb in the pen of 3 project must be a minimum of 90 pounds in order to be able to sell the project at a 4-H public auction. The carcass project must be born between December 15th and the 30th of the current year. each member is to select and care for a lamb, whether or ewe, to be raised for slaughter and carcass evaluation and sale, usually through private means. The sheep breeding projects, ewe lamb project must be born between December 15th and April 30th of the current 4-H year. The member selects their project animal after birth or purchase and raises it until achievement day. This animal cannot be sold at the 4-H public auction and should continue on for 2 years in the breeding ewe program. The yearling ewe must have been registered to the member and shown as a ewe lamb in the previous 4-H club year. Yearling ewe must be shown with or without lambs at foot. This ewe and lambs This ewe and lambs at foot cannot be sold at a 4-H public auction and should continue on in the breeding ewe program as a mature ewe. The exception would be that the lambs can be used as a members market project. The mature ewe must have been registered to the member as a yearling ewe project and shown in the previous 4-H club year. The mature ewe and lambs at foot are to be shown at the Achievement Day event. This ewe and lambs cannot be sold at a 4-H public auction. The exception would be that the lambs can be used as members market project. The animals in the flock project would include the ewe lamb, yearling ewe, and mature projects. The flock cannot be sold at a 4-H public auction. The exception would be those lambs that have been registered as the members market project. The Sheep Creative Options. The Sheep Creative Options project must be above and beyond the traditional project and should focus on exploration or non-traditional sheep research type of project that is agreed upon by the members club and leader. Record book must be completed for this project. Any project that is registered in Creative Options that involves sheep is ineligible to compete against any registered sheep project identified above under the sheep projects. Any project that is registered in Creative Option that involves sheep cannot be sold at a 4-H public auction as a sheep project at the Achievement Day event, but can be marketed through private means sale. The Green Certificate Sheep Production Technician. 4-H sales. 4-H members may not sell more than one market project at a 4-H public auction per 4-H club year. These projects would typically be a single market lamb, a single pen of 3, or a single market lamb carcass animal. Members may sell additional sheep projects through private means. Regardless of the number of sheep projects participated in, a member may only sell one sheep project at a 4-H public auction per 4-H club year. Events beyond local Achievement Day. 4-H project animals must be shown at the local level Achievement Day event to be eligible to be shown at a district, regional, and provincial events. Clubs that have their local Achievement Day event after the 4-H Alberta Sheep Show, if the member must be able to present an up-to-date record book, which we have changed, letter of good standing from the club leader, or designate and inform the show committee of the timing of their Achievement Day event. In the event a project animal is sick or injured at the local level Achievement Day event, a veterinarian certificate is required for the animal to be shown at a district, regional, and provincial event. Medications and feed additive withdrawals. Drugs and some feed additives have withdrawal periods listed on their labels according to the dosage given. It is the legal responsibility of the owner of the animal to be sold for slaughter to ensure that the withdrawal period has passed. If the withdrawal period has not passed at the time of sale, it is the responsibility of the member to tell the 4-H sale committee and the responsibility of the sale committee to communicate this to the potential buyers. Animals that show drug residues at the time of slaughter are condemned. It is the responsibility of the owner to compensate the buyer. 4-H event safety. Safety is and will continue to be the priority at any level of achievement. It is strongly recommended that members wear appropriate safety gear, for example, leather boots when working with and showing project animals. Event organizers have the authority to remove dangerous or unsafe project animals from 4-H classes or events. 4-H members are required to abide by the 4-H Alberta Code of Conduct. All 4-H members attending a 4-H Achievement Day or other project event must have designated responsible adult present at the event. Local and interclub project regulations. In addition to these basic provincial minimum requirements, there may be additional regulations from the local or interclub project committees. It is your responsibility to know these rules and regulations. Regulation violation consequences. Anyone violating any of the above requirements will not be able to participate in any 4-H event relating to that project area during the remainder of the project year. If due to unforeseen circumstances, a member is unable to finish a 4-H project in the traditional accepted manner, the club, district, regional committee, and or club leadership, along with the 4-H member, need to consider and explore alternate methods that support a successful completion of the member's project. 4-H Alberta provides a safe, fun, and inclusive environment for our members that is supported by caring adults who recognize that in trying times, 4-H can also be flexible and accommodating to best serve our positive youth development focus. All right. Does anybody have any questions around any of the policy that they want to ask before we?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Turn down your TV, Chelsea. I just had a quick question. When it was talking about selling your 4-H animals, it says that you can sell your pen of 3. Does that mean that you sell all 3 of the animals as one project, and so all 3 of the animals are sold as one?
Yep.
So they would sell all 3 at the sale then?
Yes, they can. If that's their only project that they are marketing.
Yeah. So if they did have a market lamb, but they chose to sell their pen of 3, then the market lamb wouldn't be able to be sold at the sale, but the pen of 3 would be sold.
Right. But depending on what there is for rules in that district or region, if there's anything that says if they have a market lamb and it must be sold, so be careful what's written there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think with our district, it says that they're only allowed to sell one animal. So if they had a pen of 3, they would have to choose which one of the 3 they'd want to sell or whatever. So our district is a little different that way, I guess. So, okay. No, I just wondered. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Is there any other questions?
I do have a question. Just wondering what happens if members haven't designated their project by December 1st? Like our club year is just kind of getting rolling, so the kids haven't put that decision forward just yet. And like usually we don't do our weigh-ins till March or April. So just wondering if there's a bit of leeway with that about when they can designate what they want their specific animal projects to be.
That would have to be discussed with your AC. I don't know when that would be done in the ORS. So that's more to do with them than the project standards.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
I have a question about the alternative animal that needs to be registered. So do we also have to tag that animal we usually do our tagging at our weigh-in with the 4-H tags. Do we need to do the tags on both animals, the one that we're registered and then the alternative animal as well?
Maybe one of the committee members that do that would want to answer that.
I would tag that alternate animal, just so everybody knows. In the event you're not there, then you know that the other people know that this alternate animal is the alternate. And then you would have 4-H tag, whatever. And then there's also a question in the chat. What are some examples of the Creative Options Sheep project? So I know one year a member did a bunch of different wool crafts, and they planned out what they were going to do, made a little budget, and then executed on that. And they did some very interesting things. It was kind of cool. And then I think another senior member wrote up a marketing plan as to how he was going to sell his flock because he was coming to a close of his 4-H career.
I did have one other question about the 4-H tags. Are there actual sheep 4-H tags available, or are people just buying the green ones at UFA and sharpieing an emblem on them, or are they using the beef tags?
4-H Alberta doesn't provide tags for anybody anymore. It's not like for beef or sheep. So it would be up to your club or district how you want to identify those.
And we would just buy, in our district and other districts, we just buy those littler tags. And sometimes we just, then you take your tagger and you go 1, 2, 3, like we put a year, so like 23, 1 or something like that. So you know that, yes, this old girl was born in 2023.
We also write on the back of the button, right for it. In the middle district. So those are identified.
I'm not sure if everybody heard Nikki, but she said that they'll write on the back of the tag.
On the back of the button.
On the back
or
of the
you could write on the back of the tag.
Oh, right.
You write it on the back of the button.
That they're 4-H animals, Nikki?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm in the Peace region, and we're a multi-club, so we have beef and sheep project, and we just got beef tags from 4-H that we ordered, and they've got the 4-H emblem on the tag. And then we also got smaller ones that we just assumed were the sheep ones for our sheep project. So that's not, I didn't order them, so I'm not really sure now how we got them, but they definitely have the 4-H emblem on them. Is that just from our region then, or is it? Yeah, I'm not clear how we ended up getting them.
Yeah, it would be something then obviously that your region is doing, or your your regional council must be doing that for you.
Okay.
So from what I understand is all 4-H beef market projects need a 4-H tag. Sheep projects do not need a 4-H tag. We're 6 years deep in beef side, and they've always have to have a 4-H beef tag in order to sell and to register that animal with 4-H. The sheep don't need the tag, they only need the CSIP.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, just so you guys know though, 4-H Alberta does not provide tags, and you're registering them quite often with your show committees, not with 4-H Alberta. It's with your show and sale committees.
Those regions or districts must be getting their own tags made up. You can get anything put on the tag.
Exactly.
So yeah. Brands and, tattoo letters and all that kind of stuff. So they must be getting their own emblems put on and everything.
Are there any rules around horns on sheep? If it's a breed that typically has horns, are they allowed, or are we no horns at all?
My understanding is if it's a horn breed, they're allowed to show with horns.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any other questions about the standards?
Just a question about the tail docking. What's acceptable? It just said to go off of, can't remember what we were supposed to go off of, but is there a certain length or a certain way we're supposed to dock? What's the rules around that?
Yeah.
Laverne, do you want to take that? If you're still here.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to get my, here we go. Yes, so this has become a little bit controversial, but it's not difficult. When you read the code of practice, it states 2 comments. It talks about a caudal fold, but the first statement is that it must cover the vulva. So we require that the tail covers the tip of the vulva. And that's a lot for hygienic reasons and stuff is where it's come from. So if you follow just the caudal folds, you may dock it a little bit on the short side, but you just always want to make sure the tail is long enough to cover the tip. And probably talk to your members, because if they're sourcing sheep, this is going to be, they want to make sure they source animals that have the appropriate length of the tail dock. Or if they do source it from someone they know traditionally has had short tails, they should have this discussion, because these lambs are going to be born in the next month and a half. So they want to be proactive and talk to them prior to make sure they do get the tails docked at the appropriate lengths, or they do source someone.
So the sheep committee is working on, we'll be doing a tail docking video for the YouTube channel, and then you will have the opportunity to watch that, and hopefully we have it on by the 10th or 15th of December. All right.
I guess I've always had a question about the 90-pound minimum, partly because there is no minimum on the beef side, and so kids are selling 850-pound steers at the end of the project and not getting penalized, and yet kids that are new to 4-H that maybe choose a lamb that's a little small and comes in at 84 pounds can't sell it, and yet the market, those lambs do well, because especially the ethnic market, they actually want the smaller lambs as market animals. So I guess I question the kind of arbitrary nature of that 90-pound minimum.
Joan isn't here to answer that, so would one of the other ones like to?
I think that was brought in more just because we had been starting to see some lambs come in really quite light on the extreme side, and we thought that the medium or the median weight of 90 was a good starting point for a decent sized carcass. Laverne, did you want to touch on that further?
Yeah, my understanding as well is to keep uniformity. And yes, if you look at the rules, because I struggle as well, having been starting as a new leader and going through it, and I do agree there's ethnic areas and different desirable carcasses, but it's kind of like if we were to do a carcass project, what our end goal is. So it is, what is the end goal of our 4-H projects? And our end goal is to have something that would be representative of what they would find in a grocery store. And so the market is taking larger animals. If you go to the project page downloads on 4-H Alberta, there is a wonderful sheet that I do provide to all my members when they are picking lambs. And I say, hey, this is what my daughters have had for a rate of gain over this many years. So if we have 77 days on feed, this is how much it's going to have to grow. And the amount of the weight of the lambs that are coming in on weigh-in day are way bigger since I started doing that, because I think people are just starting to realize of expectations. So yes, I do realize that the market says this, but as a committee in the discussions I was involved in, it's like, what are we seeing though, and what are we selling to the stores? So
yeah, I'd agree with that too.
I will just show you guys where it is. That sheet that.
So to piggyback off that, what is a good starting weight at your weigh-in if you're in that kind of 60 to 75 day range on feed? What are you we're brand new to the sheep project. So just what would be a good weight to aim for going into your weigh-in?
Our Newell district has set a minimum of 50 pounds, and we're right around that 60-day to show day.
So I've pulled up the resource that is on the sheep page, and you can see there that it says it has how many days is your anticipated on feed, and then what you're aiming for, and then it does tell you what your purchase weight should be.
And as a new club and having newer members, I think if they can start larger, they have a better chance of success. Especially if they're new. A lot of them will be brand new to even feeding any kind of livestock or just feeding lambs. So I do try to get them at, like Nikki said, we don't have a minimum, but I do show this. That's how, because I had people balk at minimum for me, but we do have the maximum. We do have the 90 because it's in the standards. But yes, at least 50, and I think 60 seems to be more common.
Yeah.
I think just a comment off of Greg's comment was I had to say was, when was the last time a store bought a lamb? Stores don't come into 4-H on Parade or any other sale generally and buy lambs. It's personal people that come in and buy lambs. So that's the thing. Like, is there any way to bend that rule at all, or any way to change that? Being it's not, figuratively speaking, stores that come in and buy a lamb.
Well, I guess as a committee, they can revisit it if it is something that a lot of leaders are asking more about. But like they're trying to say that they're trying to teach the kids, what is the best practice.
That's right. You're trying to teach the kids that, you have to feed your lamb properly so that it gains weight. And I understand that some of them are young and may not fully understand everything that they need to do. But like we've had sheep in our club for a number of years, and we have our weigh-in weights that the lambs have to be between 50 and 70 pounds. And all of ours have always made at least that 90 pounds. We're usually more like 110, 120, because, if the member is feeding the lamb properly in the way that they should be, they should easily be able to make that weight.
Okay, so we can always come back to this if we want to, after we finish some of the other stuff. So I just want to talk to you about the resources that are available. Leader resources, there's project leader guides. Another place is Canada 4-H Learns website. And sheep projects are sheep members and leaders are really lucky because you've had a really great group of leaders on this committee that have done a number of YouTube videos for you to use as a resource. And they are all on the YouTube channel. I don't know how many of you were familiar that we had one, but I can show it to you in the next section if you want to see where it is. And then your other great resource is other 4-H members. Member resources, there's the 2 member project guides that the Sheep Project has, your base book, your record book, and then your project insert that goes into your record book. Your club tools, all resources are available on the website or on the ePrint site through Staples. So you just have to find your sheep spot there. Now, your provincial advisory committee consists of appointed representatives from each region and help plan, promote, implement, and evaluate specific projects, programs, and activities. And this is the Sheep Advisory Committee. So do you guys want to just introduce yourselves, like put your screen on so we can see you and introduce yourselves as and what area you're from? Nikki, you want to go first?
Sure. I'm Nikki Peltzer. I am in the Newell district, so we're part of the South region. I don't have a club myself again this year, but I'm pretty busy with our regional and district activities, as well as the provincial sheep show. So been doing this for a few years now.
Jackie? If you're talking, Jackie, you have to unmute.
Hi, my video is not wanting to work tonight. My name is Jackie. I am the shack leader for the Northwest region. I am the project leader for the Cherry Hill 4-H Multi-Club, and I sit on the district council as well on the sheep committee.
Great. Shane?
I'm Shane Dempsey with the Amos 4-H Club. I'm on the SHIAC. I'm in the East Central region. Also on the district rep for our region too.
Perfect. Thanks, Shane. And Laverne?
I'm Laverne Saib, and I am the East Central region's shack representative and project leader for the Creston 4-H Multi-Club Sheep Project.
Actually, West Central, Laverne.
Did I say West Central? Sorry. I am West Central. Sorry.
Yeah. And then Arlene.
I am a member at large on shack. I'm now an assistant leader because I've been a 4-H leader for 19 years with John Ware, and actually part of the South, and I'm pleased to be the chair of the 4-H Alberta Sheep Show.
And I don't think anybody joined us late, so there is a few missing. The Calgary region rep, Joan Holmes, is missing, and Northeast. So, all right. So now I'm just going to tell you about some of the sheep project opportunities. There is the Provincial Sheep Show, which is held in July at Olds. The dates coming up this year are July 8th to 12th. And Arlene has a great committee that puts on a fabulous show for about 65 to 70 members. And this year we're celebrating which number? 15 maybe?
We started in 10, so this will be the 14th edition.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, if you have some members that are interested in doing a little more showing in the summertime, that's a great opportunity. The other thing that the sheep committee is working on is a provincial sheep carcass competition. And Laverne has been working very hard to get this up and running. I think this year there may be only 3 slaughter locations across the province once we get it, so that it'll just be in the pilot stage or the beginning stages, and we will try to get the kinks worked out, and then next year hopefully it'll be bigger. So I think that's really interesting and great for the sheep project kids. All right, so I talked about the YouTube channel. How many of you knew that there was a YouTube channel? Did you know that? No, kind of not. I will put the address for it in the chat so you guys have it. And then I'll pull up the sheep so you can take a look at what all is in there.
Tracy, somebody's asking in the chat about where those slaughter locations are going to be for the carcass project. Do we know that?
No, we don't know that yet. No.
Okay.
Thanks. No. So you can see that there is a whole playlist called Sheep Learning. I've been working really hard with our media guy to try and get these all in a playlist so that they're easier to find. And so you can see there that there is the sheep shearing webinar. There is, one year we called it University. I guess I gotta look and try and find part 2. It's not there. And then Groom 'em, Graze 'em, Grade 'em. And then there's also the sheep webinar on lambing, tips, tricks, and supplies needed. And then the one on how to pick your lamb, market lamb or breeding ewe. And like I said, we're going to be adding the tail docking one shortly, but I've got to find the university part 3 or part 2. I'm not sure where it is. But these are really useful, and they have 4-H kids in them, 4-H leaders, and 4-H parents. All right. Well, so how do the kids decide if they potentially want to participate in the carcass? We're trying to get a meeting with the grader, and then once we know all of that, we'll make sure that all the leaders and kids know, you know, what the criteria and the guidelines will be and where the carcass slaughter locations will be. And then they and like I said too, we really hope that we will have it yes, before December 1st. We're really hoping for that. Is there any other questions? Does anybody have any other questions? About any health or anything?
Somebody did ask about if there was any provincial shows in the north. I did reply that there's just the one in Olds, but maybe we want to touch base at the same time as the 4-H show. We also have the open show. So if any members have siblings that aren't in 4-H that want to join them at the 4-H show and show openly, or show in both, that's an option. Make it
so
a
what that
family
means,
affair.
Yeah. What that means then is when the kids go to the 4-H show, they have the opportunity to show under a different judge. So they actually could enter potentially 2 different shows.
And it's a youth show, an open youth show.
Somebody had a question?
We have a new family in our club that has purebred sheep baby dolls, and they were inquiring if at any of our shows, because I'm not as familiar with the July show, if there's ever breed classes that are specific to the breed, kind of like beef does.
No, but our judges are familiar with all the breeds and can adjudicate as necessary. Does that help you, Megan?
Yes, thank you. She was just worried because her sheep are so small. It would be hard to compare like a baby doll to a Suffolk in a class,
but at our Tabor Junior show down here a couple weeks ago, a baby doll did quite well because she was so correct. So good. Judges do know what they're looking for. Is there a list or roster available quality showmanship judges in different areas of the province? Yes, there's a Facebook group or page, Western Canadian Livestock Judges, and there's a whole bunch of judges, sheep, beef, and hog that you have. And then there's some different districts out there that have a running sheet of who we've used in the past. And then, of course, hopefully your graduating members would like to try and take it up locally.
Where do we find the information on the green certificate? I haven't been able to find that.
Well, the green certificate you have to go through your school, right? The kids have to go through the school because that's who applies for them to do the green certificate. And then they can take it as a 4-H project, and their leader has to know about it because they still have to do a 4-H record book with their green certificate work.
So I do green certificate with my group because for senior retention, I wanted to do a lot more sheep production. So I take my senior kids, they can get credits through school, so they do green certificate. The area coordinators, there's green certificate area coordinators, so you will have to go through your school, and there is also a school liaison. So the kids will know about it from their school liaison, but then they coordinate with us, and we actually then we'll go around and do take the kids out so they can do a lot of the tasks that they're supposed to do with a green certificate. And I will vouch it's very good, and it's great to do further experience with bigger kids. But yeah, through school, and then you just get extra bonuses with 4-H too.
Can I ask a question on that, Laverne? Because years ago I was told that you weren't allowed to do it through both.
Yeah, no. They're quite happy about it, and she's really good. Like, we had new coordinators as well, so both coordinators have been really good. And as long as the first coordinator, I could go with her very directly with a lot of stuff, and the new one goes by the book a lot more, so I have to go through the school coordinator a lot more. But yeah, no,
our 4-H lady said that you couldn't do it if you were doing it through school. You weren't allowed to do it through 4-H because it was double dipping on a project you were already doing through school.
No, because they just get a little point and a little bit of experience. But I make my kids work pretty hard because they have to go do overnights lambing lambs, and they have to do so my kids work hard for their one little point of a few little points on their diary and stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
They
times have changed.
yeah.
Okay, good point.
I was going to say, I work at a school division, and they also will give points. You can also get school credit for your 4-H projects through special projects. It's one of the course codes or whatever that can be used through the school, and they can make arrangements with the principal, and they can use their 4-H project to get credits for school through special projects.
That really does depend on your region, though.
Yeah, it does. And it depends on your school and your principal. There are some principals that will allow you to do the special projects, but yeah, the green certificate, definitely you can get credit for school and do it through 4-H.
So I do sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I do testing for the green certificate. And yeah, we definitely encourage kids if they're in 4-H to like do it through 4-H as well. So
if they are going to do the sheep project through green certificate, because we also have green certificate ongoing in our club for, I think the kids do it through hockey and football through 4-H as well. They do the creative options record book. Would they have to do the creative options record book and a sheep record book to get the sheep green certificate? Or you could just do a sheep record book and it would count as your green certificate alongside the school books?
I don't know what Laverne has used, but my suggestion, because this has come up a few times, is that whatever the leader and the member agree on would be which book I would say they should use. But Laverne, you can go ahead and weigh in on that.
I'm not 100% sure we're doing it right, but we do an actually independent general book. And then we just fill in. Yeah, not a creative options. We don't do the creative option one. We actually just do a general. It's just general, right? Isn't that what it's called?
General insert.
General insert, yes. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. But again, like I said, those are things that you can, discuss with the leader, and as long as the member understands it, then that's what you need to go with. Is there any other questions about the sheep project? And all right, well, if you think of something when I'm saying this, just go ahead and remember what, and we'll answer it after. This is for sponsor recognition. Our 4-H Alberta programs are made possible by the generous support of our partners and supporters. Without their help, we would not be able to provide amazing, fun, and engaging youth programs. Please make sure to thank them if you meet them in our communities. We would like to say a special thank you to your provincial funders and supporters who helped make the 2023 4-H Alberta virtual sheep leader learning session possible. Our Diamond Clover sponsor, the Government of Alberta, Emerald Clover, Alberta Recycling, AltaLink, ATB Financial, CPA Education Foundation, Calgary Stampede Foundation, and UFA. And our Silver Clover is Cargill. Bronze Clover is PV Mart. And the White Clover is Alberta Lamb Producers. And we'd like to thank them for to be part of 4-H Alberta partners and supporters. All right. Somebody asked in the chat there, what is a good place for workshop ideas? Anybody are the project books a really good idea, Arlene?
Yeah, the project books are good. And then there's that colossal waste of time called Pinterest. But actually, there is some good little ideas because I'm finding that as I've searched for other ideas, more ideas pour in from other parts of the world that do different projects. So our project books are fun, and Pinterest is a good resource. And then just, I think our ACs can somehow hook us up with other sheep leaders in our districts or regions, and you guys can build a knowledge network that way as well.
In regards to tail docking length, does a tail that is too short make the animal ineligible to show and sell, or is this a district show committee decision?
My favorite topic. At the provincial show, we have to meet the standards as set out in the provincial or in the standard code of practice when it comes to tail docking. So next year when you show up, your tail must be docked with accordance. Now, there's some older ewes out there that aren't, or maybe close, but they will be in just because they were grandmothered in. At the end of the day, it is a learning opportunity. And you have to remember your club is autonomous and your district show committee is autonomous. But for that ewe especially to go on, if her tail is too short, she will not be welcomed into the provincial show. Now, her owner will be, because we do not disqualify the kid. It's just the animal that can't show. My biggest thing is to join us on December 5th for the tail docking webinar and to educate those who you do purchase your lambs through to make sure they are docking tails within accordance, because it is a safety issue. It's up for the ewe or the lamb, and it is a health issue as well. But at the end of the day, a district show committee has to do what is best for that district show.
In regards to wool length at Achievement Day, did you say it had to be less than 1 inch wool length for Achievement Day?
Did you say the wool length is 1 inch or less?
Yeah.
Yes, it has to be less than 1 inch.
If there is a yearling ewe that showed previously in our provincial show and she was close or a little short, she's good to go for next year.
One question, do any clubs in Alberta do their sales in August, or do most sell in June, similar to beef? I don't know if there's anybody here from Vermilion, but I'm pretty sure that their show and sale is July. Is there anywhere else that they know is August?
Yeah, I think they were one of the last ones to sell.
Yeah. Oh, Alex corrected the he says only for ewes, market lambs have to be under a 1/4 inch. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, there's somebody commented there the last week of July in Vermilion. I figured that's what it was. All right. Is there any other questions?
I'll just touch further on Alex's comment. Markets have to be less than under a 1/4 inch, but lambs at foot have to be less than 1 inch. So they don't have to be the 1/4 inch. They can show with the 1 inch length or less than 1 inch length. It's only those market lambs to be sold need to be 1/4 inch, I understand.
And yes, there is a shearing video on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And hair sheep used as market lambs just need to be shedded out. Yes. It's hard to share that.
Hair sheep used as market lambs just need to be shedded out.
Yes.
The rules say that all market lambs have to be sheared. The females just have to be shedded out, is what the standards say.
I don't know how you would be able to shear easily a hair sheep.
Well, that's just what the standards say.
Yeah. Again, use your best judgment sometimes, right? It's not like any of us on Shack are going to come to every show and see if everyone's doing everything correctly.
You just really have to communicate with your show and sale committee and your leaders. Like, just make sure you guys all communicate with the kids so that nobody is feeling that they didn't understand or didn't say something. Alex, you have your hand up. Did you want to talk?
Yeah, no, I just had a question, Arlene, on your favorite subject again. So now that you guys are clarifying the tail rules on the webinar in December, does that not apply provincially for all 4-H clubs because it's part of the sheep standard that we'd hear by the code of practice? And if the code of practice is cover the vulva, so districts and clubs can't overrule that then, correct?
Correct, but on the other hand, how does one police that?
I know
things happen, so again, communicate with those leaders, communicate with the people who you buy your sheep from, and at the end of the day, do what you think is best.
I think for me is that as a leader, you don't know if some of your members are going to go to the provincial sheep show. So I think you don't want to destroy an opportunity for them to go somewhere else. And then if you weren't following some of the rules, or at least they were made aware of it. So if we all were to follow the rules, then we're not going to miss opportunities for kids. So for me, it's like, okay, it's not really that everyone has to follow it, but I think it's the best practice in my opinion.
But just communicate. But
yeah, no, I understand. So if I'm going to play devil's advocate, then if you're not going to enforce the tail rule in the sheep standard, then why would you enforce the 90-pound rule in the sheep standard?
But
I'm just asking.
I know. And I'm taking away this 90-pound, and we have toyed with this 90 or debated this 90-pound rule for ever.
Yeah.
And it looks like we're going to debate the tail docking forever too.
Oh, for
so
I'm just trying to get clarification.
Yeah, and I would just encourage everybody, the sheep standards are that. They're standards. And please communicate with your members and your leaders and your parents and everybody on a committee that we need this 90-pound, just so we have a uniform size when we're taking them to wherever you may sell. Yes, the 90-pound may be too small for your district or may be too large for your district, but we need to have some uniformity, and we need to teach these kids about the industry. And that's kind of
sure. I completely agree with the 90 rule. I just playing the devil's.
I know you do. So do your best, but realize that if you don't follow the sheep standards on some things, you're going to lose out on opportunities. Just like life. Like if you sell an 850-pound steer, you're not going to make the money that a 1,500-pound steer is going to be. Do your best and communicate.
Yeah. All right.
And it's not like it's just the sheep people that have the code of practice. Beef also have a similar code of practice. So we're just following suit with their guidelines and their standards. So I think it puts us in a good position for marketing and best husbandry.
Except that they're allowed to sell that animal. So those kids that raise an 850-pound, I agree, they're not going to make as much, but they're still allowed to sell it because it's the end of their year project. Whereas the sheep kids, the first year sheep kid that has that 84-pound lamb, it gets kicked out of the show, basically. And that doesn't teach them a lot about the industry, because they're frustrated and and they'll learn for the next year, but you're not following. I take complete umbrage with the fact that we're following the beef standard, because the beef standard, there is no standard for weight. You can sell whatever the hell you want, and they get paid accordingly, which then they learn the lesson that way. But I would argue that the sheep kids could learn that same lesson, or else the beef kids have to have a minimum too. It's just, you're talking about market animals, and and I've raised both my whole life. I understand and I'm okay with the 90-pound rule, but then there needs to be some consistency across market projects in the whole 4-H program.
But then you may find some districts that enforce a minimum rule to sell on their beef projects.
Because there is districts that have a minimum rule of weigh-in too, right? Like it would just because it's not a standard, and I understand what you're saying, Greg, that maybe it is something that the beef committee should definitely explore, but it's not like that across the province though. All right. Okay, if there's no other questions tonight, I'd like to thank you all for coming.